Since our wedding, your appearance has changed drastically. And yes, you have become an old and completely unpleasant woman," my husband shouted with an extremely cold look. Immediately, my stepdaughter took advantage of the opportunity and threw all my most important things out of the house, making me leave as if I were the worst person for them. Without knowing that I am the one who supports our entire family, but in this life, we all reap what we sow. From now on, I invite all of you to subscribe to the channel. If you like our content, support the channel, and together we will follow this exciting story until the end. My name is Elena Johnson. I am years old and I married my current husband, Diogo. He also has a daughter named Laura. After the wedding, we moved in with my in-laws, and since then, my mother-in-law began to harass me every day, just like Laura. It was then that our lives would take different directions. For all those who hurt me so much when I was shopping, I found my things thrown in the trash. Without understanding why, I was stunned. Then I felt someone behind me. "You won't leave unless I say so, right, Dad?" said Laura. "Grandma and Dad are sick of you. Why don't you leave quietly? There is no place for you in this house." When I asked her why she did it, Laura felt pride, as if she had won some kind of competition. Since the beginning of our marriage, she has never loved me. Now, at her age, it may be a rebellious phase, but it was too much. At the beginning, we barely spoke to each other, but with time, she began to treat me very wrong. Her words were always strong when referring to me. "You are just a parasite who saw the opportunity to take advantage of my father." Like my mother used to say, abusive language became normal, and she even threw trash at me sometimes. At first, my husband scolded her, but little by little, he also began to belittle me. With this, my mother-in-law became more aggressive in her harassment. I lost confidence in myself every day. The stress caused me insomnia, and I even started to consult a doctor. That's why talking to my husband was useless. Since he was never on my side, despite not being his biological mother, I still had affection for Laura. However, when I saw my things thrown away, something inside me broke. While I was there, stunned, Laura spoke. "When you go now that your stuff is gone, you can leave right away, right? But how will you three manage without me?" "I'll be fine with Dad around. He'll still help us." I thought, I was trying hard for you three. How doing housework is something anyone can do. "So, Laura, you're saying it's okay if I leave?" "That's what I'm saying. Seeing your face every day is stressful. Don't show your ugly face around here again," he said as he threw a bag of trash at me. No, I could easily just get divorced, but I decided to talk to my husband about it. However, he just laughed. "Well, Laura is right. You have become very ugly since we got married. And yes, you are rubbish," he said, throwing my things in the trash. "Thank goodness he threw them away," he said. "What are you talking about? My work material was there. If I can't work, the three of us won't be able to deal with anything," I replied. "What are you saying? My income is not good enough." My husband seemed unhappy with my words. "Has nothing but pride, and that is a problem. I think you are also working hard, but in reality, we can't live without my income. Just do your housework and work silently. Talking to you is just irritating." Now, narrated in a realistic male voice. That's why talking to my husband was useless. Despite not being Laura's biological mother, I still cared deeply for her. But seeing my things thrown away shattered something inside me. As I stood there, stunned, Laura confronted me. "You can leave now that your stuff's gone, right? But how will you three manage without me?" "Dad will still help us," she assured. I felt like I'd been trying so hard for them. Doing household chores seemed trivial. "Are you saying it's okay if I leave, Laura?" "That's exactly what I'm saying. Your presence stresses us out. Don't show your face here again," he shouted, hurling a bag of trash. I could just get divorced, I thought. Instead, I talked to my husband. His response was laughter. "Laura's right. You've changed since we married, and not for the better." He tossed my belongings away. "Thank goodness he did," he remarked. "What do you mean?" My work materials were in there. Without them, we'll struggle. Your income isn't enough, he retorted, clearly displeased. Pride is all you have, and that's the problem. You work hard, but we depend on my income. Just do your chores quietly. Talking to you is irritating. Then stay quiet, he concluded. I was overcome by the rage of his words, and we ended up arguing, which finally led us to talk about our divorce. Then I'll get a divorce sign here, he said. Are you sure? I asked. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference if you're here, he didn't respond. Eventually, we decided to get a divorce. I decided to call Laura to tell her that I had finally achieved what I had always wanted. I called her to tell her that I had something important to talk about. When I revealed to her about the divorce, Laura simply celebrated by showing great enthusiasm. Joy, I can finally get rid of you. This is the best day of our lives. When are you leaving? I'm leaving today. And are you sure you want to be alone with your dad, Laura? Obviously. Who would want to live with a stranger like you? I never wanted to have you as my mother. Okay, that was all I needed. Listen. So, I left without looking back, and I didn't give my ex-husband and Laura my new address. It's been 3 months since I left them. I've been living a mentally stable life. My insomnia was cured naturally, and work became more productive. Life was going well after those months. After the divorce, something happened that I could never have imagined. Everything except until I saw who I always said I didn't want to see nearby. I heard a knock on my door. It was my stepdaughter, Laura. Suddenly, she appeared at my house. Mom, something is wrong at home, he told me. Who are you? I asked coldly. Laura looked at me in disbelief. I had always taken her words seriously, but I didn't have to anymore. You haven't forgotten why you were here. Suddenly the house has problems. Help me, Mom, she begged just to stop. As far as you know, I'm not your mom anymore. You didn't say you didn't need garbage. Like me, right? I'm sorry, but I really need your help. Please just listen. Apparently, she had found out my address asking relatives. She was a little angry with the relatives for having told her. Laura seemed desperate when she came to my house. Reluctantly, I let her in to talk. Then, what is it about? Our house is in terrible condition. Dad is terrible with this, Laura explained, starting to cry uncontrollably in front of me. I didn't feel. I'm sorry for her at that moment. I just looked at her with my face as cold as ice. Laura, she seemed a little scared. Mom, how many times do I have to tell you I'm not your mom anymore? Could you at least call me Elena? I don't want you to call me Mom. Why are you acting so cold? You used to be kind. I was holding back all this time. You could have put up with that. If you were in my place, you should know I was also very hurt. I'm sorry, Laura's tone, so different from her usual arrogance, was now low and desperate. I think it was the first time she apologized to me. She must be really desperate, but I didn't mean to help her. You may be going through hard times, but I'm a stranger now. I have no obligation to help. To begin with, we were never really mother and daughter. I don't waste my time on useless matters. Can you please leave? When I said this, Laura reached out and grabbed my arm. Don't say that. Right now, you are all I have, Elena. You are all I have, Dad. It's really horrible. Without being questioned, she started telling me what had happened after the divorce. Since you left, Dad started bringing home other young women, flashy young women from nightclubs. Now he is cold to me and is always with them instead of me. They even travel together on weekends. Of the week. You knew that Dad was cheating on you? Yes, I knew. We fought about it several times. Your dad had been cheating on me for more than a year. All that time. Why didn't you get divorced? I thought it would be very difficult for you, Laura. I could tell that you were fighting me. About 6 months ago, I discovered that my ex-husband was cheating on me. I saw him happily shopping with a young woman he didn't know. After that, I secretly hired a detective to investigate his infidelity. It turns out he was spending a lot of money on a younger woman he met in various nightclubs. They were also physically involved. When I confronted him, He admitted his affair without excuses. He even blamed me, callously saying, "I cheated on you because you've grown old and lost your charm. Bruna is different, beautiful, with a great body, incredible at night. If you were more attractive and charming, I wouldn't have looked elsewhere. Due to my job and my concern for you, Laura, I've neglected my appearance a bit after marriage. But that doesn't justify betrayal, right? Unfortunately, your father was just telling me this without you knowing. If you want to be loved by me, act more feminine." After discovering my ex-husband's betrayal, my love for him naturally disappeared. I thought about leaving immediately, but I couldn't because of your education, Laura. You attend a prestigious private school, and I've always strived to keep your grades high. Now that you're studying science at university, which costs more than arts, I've put in a lot of effort to support you. But it seems you don't appreciate all the sacrifices I've made. After you left Elena, there was no one else to cook. I've been living on convenience store food and instant noodles almost every day recently. Dad mentioned we're running out of money and asked me to settle for one meal a day. Meanwhile, he and that woman live luxuriously. Laura, you've lost a lot of weight since I last saw you. Your skin looks rough, and your clothes are wrinkled. It seems you're struggling to manage things properly now. Who used to count on me for the housework? Since I left, it seems that she has had to take care of all the housework. And there has been another change in the house. In fact, Grandma's health has also worsened. Dad says he doesn't want to waste money like that, who left all the care for me. Because of that, I can't study and my grades have gone down. My mother-in-law has always had health problems when I lived with them. That's why I started living at my in-laws' house to take care of her health. I never thanked or once. Instead, she threw away the food she cooked and scolded me constantly. Looking back, I never want to go back to that life. I think I lasted too long. Although she never complained about Laura, the girl seemed to be having a hard time taking care of her. I can't take care of her anymore, Grandma, forever. I have my own life. You know, Dad is just terrible, just thinking about himself. But you chose to stay with your dad, right? It's hard for me to do anything about it now. Dad told me to give up going to university. I have always worked hard on my studies. It's not terrible. I think you worked hard. But if your dad says it's impossible, maybe you have no choice but to quit. I can't just quit like that, said Laura. And Dad even said that I'm too expensive to stay around. He told me to leave. What are you going to do with your grandmother? Then she will have to go to a facility, Dad said. It is much cheaper than paying for university. You like science, and the university you want is private. I think it is difficult for your dad to get the money, but I can't just give up. I tried so hard until now. Saying this, Laura started to cry bitterly. I felt a little sorry for her, but that was the life she chose. There is nothing I can do. So looking around the house, Laura asked me about my current home. I run a real estate agency. This property is one of many I own, I responded. I have never heard of anything like that, she said. I kept the secret on purpose. Your dad has to be the boss, right? Then he told me to remain silent about being the one who financially supports the family. That was always our situation. So, during all this time, I was the one who paid our living expenses. At first, he paid half, but about a year later, he stopped contributing. I am also paying for your tuition. Never mentioned it because I didn't consider it necessary. My God, Laura seemed surprised by the truth that I revealed. Since when you were president of a real estate agency at the beginning of our marriage, at that time I wasn't earning much, just a little more than my ex-husband. But about months later, my salary started to skyrocket, and now I make around millions a year. Never thought I'd be so successful. Of course, my ex-husband knew about my success. As my income grew, he became colder and probably envied my success. Yet, he spent my money like it was water. Later, I found out he was spending it with his mistress. I requested alimony from both my ex-husband and his mistress after the divorce. He paid me fixed alimony. He also paid the part of his lover. Probably that's why he's in need of money now. So, you're more financially stable than my dad, right? Well, I can certainly afford to live quite well, I answered. Why do you ask? Please help me. I won't ask you to live with me, but I need financial support and a place to stay. Don't be ridiculous. Why should I, a stranger to you, do all that? More words. I didn't change anything so you could leave. I don't want to waste my time. Plus, seeing you reminds me of the past. It really reminds me. Do you hate me so much? Laura asked, with eyes full of tears. I hesitated for a moment how to respond. It's true that I don't have good feelings when I think of you. I never considered you like before. I could finish. Laura grabbed me again. I can learn to like you now. I know I said terrible things. But can we start again? Please help me? It seemed like Laura had no plans to leave until I agreed. To avoid being trapped with her, I decided to call someone. You are calling? Laura asked. Your dad? I can't. I'm asking him to come for you, but calling Dad is useless. You prefer that woman over me, so you plan to stay here forever? Well, I have nowhere else to go. I've imposed myself on friends, but I can't stay with them. They are true. You are the only thing I have, Elena. When I said this, Laura's eyes filled with tears. Ignoring her, I started calling my ex-husband. At first, he didn't answer, but after persistently calling, he finally picked up. I'm happy that you finally answered. What do you want, Elena? He seemed irritated. We're strangers now, right? We're divorced, so don't call me. I don't want to hear your voice. I'm not calling because I want to, I replied. Well, what do you want? Asked my ex-husband coldly. It seemed his lover was also there. I could hear her voice. Ignoring that, I decided to talk about Laura. Your daughter is at my house causing problems. She says she doesn't want to go home. You can come look for her. She's there, my ex-husband muttered disinterestedly. I'm in trouble here. She's asking for help, but we're no longer a family. If you come, she can leave quietly. You can come now. What a bother. Right now, I'm having dinner with Bruna. Do you want to interrupt our time together? He retorted. She can have dinner at any time. Isn't that right? I replied. Don't play with me. We're in a luxury restaurant. You're not feeding Laura properly, but you're eating well. Whose money is that? Are you sure you can afford to waste it like this? Calm down. You're a stranger. Stay out of it. Okay? Come get Laura. I have no intention of keeping her. She's your daughter, I said. If she bothers you so much, why don't you take care of her? Anyway, I was thinking of living alone with Bruna. Laura is just getting in the way. How can you say that your daughter is getting in the way? Even if I took care of her, I would collect alimony from you. I would also claim the money you spent without permission. Wait. My ex-husband started to panic. I proposed that in exchange for paying all the alimony at once, I will ignore the amount of money. He insisted that I had spent recklessly at first, which didn't convince me. However, he insisted, so I reluctantly agreed. The amount I had wasted was around $10,000. Since it was an amount I could recover by working immediately, I decided to forgive him. Okay, I will go now. Just forgive the money, he said. Remember, if you don't come today, I will send you the bill. Understood, I replied. I gave him my address, and he agreed to come pick it up. My new house was a few hours' drive from where we lived. He finally arrived at night and was shocked by my house. You live in a place like this? It seems like you're doing very well. Well, I have been living a little more luxuriously since I no longer have to spend money on you three. But this house is very luxurious, he commented. You were only earning about $50,000 a year, right? He didn't know exactly how much I was earning. I never told him on purpose. But now that we're divorced, there's no harm in telling you honestly. I explained about my current earnings. You earn so much? You may not know it, but I have been working a lot. Now I have some employees I trust, and everything is going well, I said. He seemed frustrated. I'm still as competitive as always. You're just stuck in the job they gave you at the company, so it's no wonder they're not promoting you. Take care of Laura, he said, looking behind me. Laura was behind me, seemingly not wanting to move. It seemed like he still didn't want to go back. I sighed, exasperated. If your dad came, he's here to pick you up. Please, go away. You don't belong in this place, I said firmly. My ex-husband had a different idea. If you make millions of dollars a year, you must have plenty of money, right? Then help us. Why should you be like this? We used to be a family, right? You should have something for us. We are on the verge of bankruptcy here. I can't buy things from Bruna anymore. What do you like if you have little money? Why don't you look for more work? Does your company allow second jobs? He raised his voice, demanding money, but I didn't have the courage. I didn't intend to give you even a cent. You shouldn't be the one to give me money. You forgot that I'm sorry for the money that you wasted. But with millions of earnings, a little won't hurt you, right? You probably don't even need it. Even if I earn so much, a big part of it goes to taxes, and I don't have extra money to waste on you. Just take Laura and go, I said calmly. But my ex-husband became more and more agitated. He always gets loud and irritated when things don't go his way. He used to be very afraid to respond, but now that we are strangers, I'm not afraid anymore. If you keep making a scene in front of my house, I will call the police. There is a police station nearby, and they will come quickly if I call. If I tell them that my ex-husband is causing a disturbance, they will act quickly. If you don't want problems with the police, it's better that you leave now, I said reluctantly, not wanting to confront the police. Laura, let's go, she called out without even looking at him. Laura looked at me with pleading eyes. You should also leave. Never come back, I said firmly to him. Laura's eyes were full of tears as he looked at me. I expelled them and locked the door. I think I will never see them again, and I want to forget my life with them as quickly as possible. And I have not regretted it at all since then. My ex-husband apparently broke up with his mistress. The separation happened when she discovered that he actually no longer had any money. He had boasted to her that he was among the elite, earning a lot each year. But when she saw his bank balance, the truth came to light. It turns out she wasn't in love with him after all. She had other men she was dating and quickly moved on to another. Also, my ex-husband was in debt due to expenses before this, leaving Laura unable to attend school. She had to drop out of private school and began to work in a place where even a high school graduate could get a job. As for my mother-in-law, they couldn't take care of her, so they had to institutionalize her. They managed to raise the money for that through loans. I heard all this through acquaintances, and of course, there has been no contact since then. As for me, my businesses are going well. I am enjoying my quiet single life and looking forward to enjoying a luxurious solo life for a while. There are certain things that happen in life that are even difficult to explain. I was married and always dedicated to my husband and his entire family, who always treated me very badly. Both my mother-in-law and my stepdaughter did not know that I was the one who always paid for all their expenses despite being mistreated. But in this life, nothing goes unnoticed. In the end, my ex-husband, full of pride or even envy just because I am a woman, thought that since he earned less money than me, he could ask me to hide this from our family, making everyone think that he was the provider of all our expenses. I simply did what he wanted, but I continued to honor my commitments despite the affront on his part. With all my effort, I ended up forgetting a little about myself. If that's how he says I aged, I no longer have the appearance of an attractive woman, as she told me, looking coldly in my eyes, changing me for younger women and supporting her with my money. I was worried about my mother-in-law and my stepdaughter. I ended up closing my eyes to my ex's infidelity, and yet he wanted to step over me. Well, but life is simply fair to those who are true. I was expelled from their lives, they threw my things outside, and I left with the worst image ever seen by them. Now that difficulties knock on their door, they come to get my help. What would you do if you were in my place? Leave your comments here since they are very important for all of us. I also invite you all to subscribe here on the channel. And if you like our content, support the channel, and we will see you in the next stories of moments of life.